I would like to request Dr. Rishi Mohan Bhatnagar, co-founder India and Global CTO, AA2IT, former Global Head Tech Mahindra, to kindly come here and share his views with us. Please give him a big round of applause, please.
Good morning. So, I am the only one from the corporate. So, I'm not an academician, but I'm sure you won't regret spending 15 minutes with me. Because I was invited, Shiv, by NISA, the National Independent School Association, and I was a keynote speaker on the future of education. And there was 15 minutes given to me, and after that I was thinking I should run, because everybody was towards me. I was thinking they're going to beat me, because what I'm going to tell you may scare you. So in addition to being the corporate person, I'm the one who started the startup ecosystem in India. I'm an investor. I am a mentor, and I'm looking after a number of incubation centers across the country. Day before yesterday, I was on the television to speak about the Australian rule of below 16 years won't be allowed for the social media. And I was calling Manish to tell me kya ho raha hai wahan pe. And yesterday I was on the television on speaking about why so many companies are investing in India now. 17.5 billion by Microsoft. So much money from Intel, and then the Capgemini. So while I have been into the technology, I'm also the national convener for technology and education for Bharati Shikshan Mandal, if you have heard of Bharati Shikshan Mandal. And I'm the chairperson for the Future Technology Panel in India. So with that kind of background, I'll start that in Germany, we technologists have been able to create a chip for Alzheimer. Okay, and dementia. Okay, that chip can be installed in your brain. And because that chip is now installed in your brain, you can now pick up the cup and drink tea. Now you can walk, and because of the chip, your whole body muscles, which were uncontrollable by the brain, is getting controlled. What does that mean? That means we technologists have been able to create an interface between the outside world and the brain. Correct? So what is the next step? You want to learn Mahabharat? Zak. You want to learn history? Zak. In that case, I will not require teachers. I will require content writers in the kind of protocol which my chip will understand. And that's the future of education. There's a pin drop silence here, but that's the reality. You all must have seen the virtual reality gadgets, correct? The day I'll be able to make it at a 250 rupees, the government of India will supply it free to all students across the country. During COVID, the rural data consumption was more than the urban data consumption, which means that the internet has gone to the last mile. The moment I'll be able to make it at a 250 rupees, the government of India will stop Anganwadis. The government of India will not fund any schools. They will give free those gadgets to everybody. Toot gaya, le lo. Fir se le lo. It will have internet, and you can say first class maths, 12th class physics. Correct? And that too in your language, that too in your accent. Because we have Bhashini, the AI tool, to translate in the language you understand. That means you will not require the infrastructure. So that's the real future of education. And that's not more, I don't think it will take another 5 or more years for us to have that kind of availability. And that's where the future is going. Now I like to come back. So I keep on starting doing, when Alexander arrived on this country, okay, 326 BC. And the question, because we all sitting in this room have gone through that factory model of education called Macaulay. And so we are also not questioning these things. And that's why I really wanted to spend time with you to start thinking and questioning yourself. Coming from Greece, why didn't he go to Paris and Rome and London? Why he traveled so long and came to Indus River and called us India and started thinking about conquering us? Because we were 35% of the global GDP. We were the Sone ki chidiya. We were having Takshila. In Alexander's history, he has written there was a Peshawar, there was a university called Takshila. There were 16 universities in India at that time. And all these universities were international universities. International students used to come to our country and study, and there were 60 subjects in Takshila, and there were only 400 teachers and 20,000 students. Now, just now, sir was telling that there are around 15,000 students or 12,000 students, but 1,000 teachers. But in Takshila, there were 20,000 national international students, 60 subjects, and only 450 teachers. That means the model was different. Even today, in many of our universities and colleges, we are not using the same model which we were using 2,000 years back, because of which we were the Sone ki chidiya. India was never exporting agriculture products. We were not selling rice and wheat. The things which we were exporting were gems and jewelry, textile, metallurgy, and spices. And we used to get gold and silver in return of these. But who was inventing these? The invention used to happen in the universities. The universities and the college institutions were the centers for research, design, and innovation. Okay? Which is totally changed. Who used to manufacture? Everything used to be skilled and manufactured at home. Who used to trade? The men used to go and trade and get gold and silver. 17 बार गजनी एक ही मंदिर लूटता है और हर बार उस मंदिर में उतना ही गोल्ड हो जाता है. क्वेश्चन तो करें, कहां से आता था वो गोल्ड? What was the system? And that's how we have to start thinking and questioning ourselves. Until the time you all sitting in this room start questioning everything, you will not let the students think. And we have to move out of that Macaulay's model. Correct? Now, sir must have spoken about the education system in India, and we all know we were the Vishwaguru. But when the British arrived, we were 100% educated. In 1786, the Survey of India report of all Gurukuls in India showed there were only 20% Brahmins and 60% were Shudra. So our education system was not for classes, but it was for masses. It was never for classes, it was only for masses. Because we were 100% educated. And that's a record by the British. When we were inviting the international students to come, were we not letting our own students to learn? There were 700,000 Gurukuls in the country. And the Macaulay, with one statement, said, all Gurukul educations will not be considered as legal. And that's why I became uneducated. If today I make a statement and say all students who pass the CBSE exams will consider to be uneducated, we all will become uneducated. And that was the reason that in 1947 we were 80% illiterates. Because only 20% of the students had gone through that Macaulay's education system and were considered themselves to be educated. So we were not for classes, but we were for masses. Because 700,000 Gurukuls were for 700,000 villages. And another thing, you all are very educated and are like academicians. Another, when I spoke about this female of the family, the lady of the family, used to be the skill provider and the business person. She used to run the business. In 400 AD, when the survey was done, who are the most rich people in the world? They were the Indian women entrepreneurs. They were the Indian women entrepreneurs. आज हम बराबरी की बात करते हैं ये कह के कि वो आर्मी में आ जाएं, फीमेल आर्मी में आ जाएं, इस एजुकेशन में आ जाएं, इसमें आ जाएं. अरे रानी की झांसी की रानी तो कमांडर थी, उसके अंडर आदमी ही काम करते थे. करेक्ट? द वर्ल्ड्स मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट डिबेट इन द वर्ल्ड इज बिटवीन आदि शंकराचार्य एंड मंडल मिश्र. Correct? Who was the judge? आप लोगों में से किसी को बताना है, क्योंकि आप सब लोग टीचर हो. Who was the judge of Mandal Mishra, who was the Karmakandi Brahman educationist, and Adi Shankaracharya? Do you know? I'm really sad that you don't know. That was the wife of Mandal Mishra, Ubhay Bharati. That was the position of women in India. That Adi Shankaracharya and Mandal Mishra both agreed that this lady will become the judge. Because she was too educated, that both of them agreed that she will be our judge. This is where we all have to work. That we have to start questioning and we have to start giving answers. Now, because Irfan Bhai also mentioned about Mahabharat. Okay? In Mahabharat, there were 100 Kauravas and five Pandavas. Correct? The king made a special school for them. That was a special school, definitely for classes, my children. Okay? But when you start thinking, Yudhishthir was the eldest, and Nakul Sahadev were the youngest. Correct? All 105 studying in the same class, with the same teacher, with the same all subjects. Correct? द्रोणाचार्य के अलावा कोई दूसरा टीचर तो नहीं पता हमें. Correct? So that means our education system was neither age dependent, nor subject dependent, nor teacher dependent. What Manish and Sir also mentioned about Satyanarayan, it was learner-centric, the student-centric model. So the Dronacharya used to say, oh, ये अर्जुन है, ये तीर कमान चलाएगा, और साथ में ये म्यूजिशियन बनेगा. और ये भीम है, भीम का इंटरेस्ट गदा में है, गदा भी है, खाना भी खाता है, इसे बावर्ची बनाओ. है ना? युधिष्ठिर, इसे राजा बनना, इसे एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन सिखानी है मुझे, ये भाला भी चलाना जानता है, चल भाला भी चला. So what was the role of the teacher? As very well mentioned by Bratji, it was the role of teacher was to mentor, enable, support, or guide, and we partner. And that was our model. That is our model. If we are going to move away from that, that's not the way. As Manish said, it is student assessment tools. Dronacharya was a student assessment tool. To see, अर्जुन तो तीर कमान चला और मैं तेरे को संगीतकार भी बनाता हूं. So no age barrier, no subject, one teacher. It was totally learner-centric. And there can be no other example than this to tell how our education used to work, how 450 teachers could teach 20,000 students in Takshila with 60 subjects. Because their job was not to take a class, A for apple, B for boy, C for... No, that was not a factory. You learn. Oh, तेरे को music से ना चल music कर. I'll tell you how to help you. That's all. So you become that. Now, because he also mentioned about Eklavya, I want to clarify that. Because there was a specific school for Dronacharya school, but there were two kingdoms called Hastinapur, with a king called Dhritarashtra. There was another kingdom called Panchal, with a king called Drupad. They both were fighting with each other. Who was Eklavya? Who was Eklavya? It is written in Mahabharata. It is written, I can give you the chapter and the verse. He was the son of the army head of Panchal Raja. And he was caught cheatingly seeing how Dronacharya is teaching Hastinapur's princess. If he is caught, at least Dronacharya just took his thumb and didn't kill him. Because he was आपका जो दुश्मन है, उसकी आर्मी हेड का बेटा है, जो वहां आपके लिए स्पाइंग कर रहा है. You got a spy. But the story that has been heard by us is not a complete one. So we can have a different kind of narrative. But now I want to tell you another thing, which is maybe the last thing for me. Okay. In the Indian education system, the second last, I'll take one more. There are 5 ways of levels of education. One is called physical level. Right now I'm doing a physical level education, which you all do in your classrooms. The second is the emotional level. The third is a mental level. Fourth is an intellect level. And fifth is a spiritual level. As I said, as a technologist, I'll be able to replace classroom physical, mental abilities, and intellect level. I will not be able to change the emotional and the spiritual one unless you as a teacher will start involving with your students in that two level. You will get replaced. And that's a fact. Now the last point. There are four things: curriculum, pedagogy, and assessment. There were a number of techniques of assessment which we have seen, and the fourth thing is the management controls and the kind of things which you all do. If I come to pedagogy, okay, I think the ICOSA should have, the schools has suggested how many changes in the curriculum. Okay? Something like Z for, अरे आज तक जेब्रा पढ़ा रहे हो, अरे दिल्ली के अंदर जू में भी नहीं है अफ्रीका का ये जानवर, दिल्ली के जू में भी नहीं है अफ्रीका का जानवर, आप हिंदुस्तान के हर एक गांव में पढ़ाते हो, अरे Z फॉर जीरो ही बता दो, इंडिया का इन्वेंशन है। आज 70 साल के बाद हम Z को जीरो नहीं कर पाए, अभी भी जेब्रा पढ़ा रहे हैं, और यहां पर आप लोगों को चेंज होना पड़ेगा, है ना। आपकी केस स्टडीज, आपके एग्जाम्पल्स इंडियन होने चाहिए, क्योंकि बच्चा इंडियन चीज समझेगा। आप आज भी उसे पेरिस के आर्किटेक्चर पढ़ाएंगे और तंजवूर और कोणार्क नहीं बताएंगे तो आप सही नहीं कर रहे हैं, आपको इसे सही करना ही पड़ेगा। अगर इंग्लिश की बुक में क्या हम W.B. यीस्ट ही पढ़ें जो कि आयरिश ऑथर था? क्या इंडियन इंग्लिश राइटर्स हैं ही नहीं? मैं तो इंग्लिश की बात कर रहा हूं, अपनी लैंग्वेजेस की नहीं कर रहा। क्या इंडिया में कोई भी इंग्लिश पोएट नहीं है? क्या हम आज भी W.B. यीस्ट ही पढ़ें? ऐसा तो नहीं होगा। अरे कहीं सजेस्ट तो करिए। तो हाउ कैन वी चेक दैट द करिकुलम ऑफ इंडिया इज फॉर इंडिया? क्योंकि फर्स्ट आप लोग मेरे से ज्यादा जानते हैं कि जो छोटा बच्चा जो चीज देखता है उसे अच्छा समझता है, आप उसे Z फॉर जीब्रा दिखाते हैं। जीब्रा तो दिल्ली के जू में नहीं है। सही कह रहा हूं? ठीक है। आई एम सॉरी। सिमिलरली पेडागॉजी, आज हम लोग पेडागॉजी में, मतलब दिस इज द ओनली एरिया कॉल्ड एजुकेशन विद इज नो R&D सेंटर। वी डू नॉट हैव एन R&D सेंटर इन एजुकेशन। हम हर चीज में R&D करते हैं मगर एजुकेशन में R&D नहीं करते। किस तरीके से आप सभी लोग अपने अपने एरिया में कुछ लेवल ऑफ रिसर्च कराएं इन टर्म्स ऑफ पेडागॉजी, इन टर्म्स ऑफ करिकुलम डिजाइन एंड इन टर्म्स ऑफ असेसमेंट, क्योंकि यही तीन चीजें हैं जिससे चीज चलेगी आगे। आई कैन कंटिन्यू बट इट वॉज अ वेरी गुड डिस्कशन फॉर मी। द आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस विल हैव एन इम्पैक्ट and we all have to get ready for it. Sooner is better. Thank you.